This is topic 7-4, changing to y equals mx plus b form, day 1. Our objective today is I can change from standard to slope-intercept form. So our essential question will be, how can I change from standard form to slope-intercept form? By the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer that question. Our bell work today is review problems. The first thing we're going to do is to solve an equation that's given. So we'll go down our flow chart, draw a line. We do have parentheses, so we need to distribute the -2 inside the parentheses. So we're going to multiply the y times the -2. We're also going to multiply the -3 times the -2. The 8y is not being used, so we bring it down. -2 times y is a -2y, and -2 times the -3 is a +6. The next thing we look at is, do we have like terms we can combine on each side? And yes, we do. We have the like terms of 8y and the -2y. 8y minus 2y is 6y. We have +6 equals 18. Now we're going to box our term with the variable. That's our 6y. Do the opposite of the term not in the box. That's the +6, so the opposite is -6. We still have our 6y in the box. And then +6 minus 6 is 0. 8 minus 6 is 12. Now we need to get the y by itself, so we do the opposite of what's going on in the box. That is 6 times y, so we're going to divide by. And we'll divide by the number in the box. That'll leave us with y equals 12 divided by 6 is 2. So our answer is y equals 2. In problem number 2, we need to write our equation. Foster's Flood Repair charges $53 for a damage estimate and $13.50 per hour to clean up after the flood damage. Write the equation that represents the relationship between the number of hours H and the total cost. So our total cost C is equal to, we'll look up here, see I have a charge of $53 and I also have $13.50 per hour. The per tells me that this $13.50 is going to have to be multiplied by the number of hours. So our beginning amount is the $53. And then it's going to change by $13.50 per hour. So now we're going to relate what we've done in the past to what we're currently doing. Our rate of change is also our slope. If I look at my equation, you can see our output is y. We have our beginning amount. This time, instead of calling it the change, we're going to call it the slope, and our input is dx. So our rate of change, or the slope, is the $13.50. My beginning amount is what we start off with. That's our y-intercept, and that's the $53 that we start off with. So now we have related what we've done in the past to what we're currently doing. Again, our beginning is the y-intercept of 53, and our rate of change, or our slope, is the $13.50. Now's an opportunity to check your assignment 7-3. So when you get to the page, you just need to pause in the recording in order to check your work. When you are checking your answers, the main thing you want to check for is that you have the beginning point correct, and then also that you have done the slope correct for each problem. So you have problems 1 and 2. There are problems 3 and 4. And problems 5 and 6. So today we are going to do the exact same thing, except we're given standard form first before we change it to slope-intercept. Our first problem, however, is already in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept is the y equals mx plus b. And so we're going to we're going to keep that and use it in order to graph. So this is a review from yesterday, or previous day. Our m is lined up. We started off writing out the y equals mx plus b, so we can see that our m, or our slope, is -3. I want to make that look like a fraction, so I'll just put it over 1. Since the slope or the rate of change is negative, this tells me that our line should be decreasing or going in the down and right direction. The slope, then, the top number tells me to go down. The bottom number, when we graph, will always go to the right. B is our y-intercept, or where we begin, so we're going to begin at 4. And to write it as ordered pair, 0, 4, to show me that's the point to start off with. Looking at your graph, we have our x is the horizontal, y is the vertical line. So we're going to begin at 0, 4. Here's our point, 0, 4. Now we're going to move the point using our m, or our rate of change. So it's going to change by going down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1. We always move to the right. We'll go down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. Starting back at our beginning, I can do the opposite, going up 3 and to the left 1 in order to continue to fill out my graph. Then make sure we connect the dots. Our graph is decreasing because it is going downward, so we have graphed it correctly. Since it is in y equals, you could check it on the calculator. We're not going to do that today, but you can just pause and look on the calculator to make sure your graph is correct. Our second problem, this is known as standard form. It is in the form ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are constants or numbers, and then of course we have our x and y. So this is standard. What we want to get to is y equals mx plus b, which is our slope-intercept form. So we are going to take our original equation and solve for y. Our original equation is 2x plus 3y equals negative 9. When we solve for y, we're still using the same process we used before, except now we have a variable in here and not just numbers. So we're going to draw a line down the equal sign, and then we will box the y with its coefficient. Okay, now we want to isolate the y. To isolate the y, we got to get rid of the 2x. We got to get rid of the number that's not in the box. It's the same process. We're going to do the opposite. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. That's what's not in the box. The 3y is still in the box. It comes on down. So I move the x. Positive 2x minus 2x is 0. And then you notice that we have a negative 9 and a 2x. The 2 has an x with it. That means it cannot combine with the 9. So since it cannot combine, we're just going to rewrite it. I'll start with the negative 2x and then the minus 9. And I'm putting the x first because in our final we want the mx plus b, we want the mx first. Our last step is to get the y by itself, so we're going to divide by the number in the box. And when we divide by the number that's in the box, we have to divide everything by that number. We know it's division because this is 3 times y, so to get rid of 3, we have to do the opposite of multiplication, that's division. We're going to divide by 3. Every term gets divided by 3. So our 3's on the left will cancel. We're left with y equals. On the right, I have a negative 2/3 x. And then I also have a negative 9 divided by 3. Negative 9 divided by 3 is a negative 3. So our final equation we now have in the form of y equals mx plus b. From that equation, we can now determine that our rate of change or our slope is a negative 2/3. It's negative, so that means our graph should be decreasing. The top number is going to tell us how far to go down. The bottom number tells us how far to go to the right. Our b is a negative 3. That's our beginning, so we're going to start on the y-axis with the y-intercept of 0, negative 3. To plot, we start at the beginning, 0, negative 3, and then we'll use our slope in order to move the point. We're going down 2 to the right 3, down 2 to the right 3, down 2 to the right 3. I'll do the opposite, so up 2 to the left 3, up 2 to the left 3 in order to complete it. Up 2 to the left 3, and then draw my line. Now that we've gone through the full process, I'm going to show you a little shortcut that's going to help us get from standard form into slope-intercept form using these same steps, but I'm not going to show all the steps. We're going to do the steps, just not show them all. We're still going to use these same steps though. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite my equation, 3x minus y equals a negative 6. Draw our line and box the y. This time we have a negative y. Now what I'm going to do is a new step. I'm going to start off by writing what I want as my end result. So my end result is I want y equals blank, something times x plus blank, because that is in the form y equals mx plus b. What we're trying to figure out is what is the m and what is the b. So the way we're going to figure that out is if I look at my equation and where the line is, I have a negative 6 that's on here by itself. That's my free faller. It's going to come to the back as a negative 6. It's on the same side of the line, so it doesn't change. It's just going to drop down and go into the space. I'm putting it in a space that's by itself, not the space with the x. So the x, the way I'm going to determine the x is I have a 3x that's on the left-hand side. I want to move it to the right-hand side. If I move across the line, I must change the sign. Previously, we subtracted. So basically, I'm saying this 3 is now going to become a negative 3 when I move it. So I'm going to add to my little thing where I said move the x, and I'm going to add. If you cross the line, change the sign. So the 3x crossed this line, I have to change its sign. The last thing is still the same. I'm going to divide by the number that's in the box. If I look back in our box, I have a negative y. So there is an understood 1 in front of that y, which means the number in the box is a negative 1. So I'm going to divide by negative 1 on the other side. Now I can just simplify. This is y equals negative 3 divided by negative 1 is a positive 3. It has an x, and then a negative 6 divided by negative 1 is a positive 6. So my equation is y equals 3x plus 6. Notice this is in the form of y equals mx plus b now. From this, I can determine my slope is 3, or 3 over 1, and the y-intercept is 6, or the starting point at 0, 6. We begin the graph at 0, 6. Slope is positive. That means it is going to be an increasing, which means the top number tells us to go up because it's positive. Bottom number tells us to go to the right. So we're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. I can get 2 points on there. Or I can do the opposite, go down 3 to the left 1. Following the same pattern, down 3 to the left 1 in order to get more points. And true enough, my graph is increasing. So let's see if we can do this again. We're going to start off with our original equation, x plus y equals 3. We will box in our y, draw our line, and then we're going to write out y equals blank x plus blank. Anything on the same side is a free faller, so 3 is a free faller. It comes down to the blank that's on the end. The understood number with the x is a 1. So the x that's on the left now changes the side, so that means changes the sign. It becomes a -1. There's also an understood 1 in front of the y. It's a positive 1, so we're going to divide by a positive 1. Our equation then is y equals -1x plus 3. This gives us a slope of -1. To make it look like a fraction, I'll put it over 1. It's negative. That means it should be going in the downward right. So the top number tells us down, bottom number tells us to the right. Our y-intercept, or where we begin, is at 3. So that's the ordered pair, or the coordinate 0, 3. We'll put our point at 0, 3, go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, in order to get our graph. Using a straight edge, you can then connect your dots. Our last problem, start off with your original 3y equals 6x. Draw a line, box your y with its number. We're going to put our y equals blank x plus blank. Okay, we're looking for free fallers, things that are on the same side will not change. I don't have a number here, just add it to it, so I can put a 0 there because there's nothing there. The 6 now is on the same side. The 6x is on the same side, so it's a free faller. It does not change. I did not cross the line. I do not change the sign. Last step is to divide by the number that's in the box. We're going to divide both sides by 3. So our final equation in is y equals 6 divided by 3 is 2. This is 2x, and 0 divided by 3 is just 0. So I can keep it as y equals 2x, or I could put the 0, because for some it's helpful, because now you can figure out your m is 2, or 2 over 1. That's positive, means increasing, so that means the top number goes up, bottom number goes to the right. Your b is 0, or your y-intercept is 0, 0. We begin at 0, and now we're going to move up 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. From that point, up 2 to the right 1. Continue to use the slope. Up 2 to the right 1. So in summary, in order to change from the standard to slope-intercept form, we're going to write down the steps we use. Intercept form. Okay, we drew the line, or draw the line down the equal sign. Notice I'm doing shortcuts. Next, we boxed in our y. Next, we did our free falling. Oh no, I'm sorry. Next, we wrote the y equals blank x plus blank. Then we did our free falls that are on the same side of the line. Okay. Then we moved the x when it was necessary. And when we moved the x, we said if you cross the line, you change the sign. And last, we divide it by the number in the box. If you follow these steps, you should be able to change from standard form to slope-intercept form and be able to graph any line. This concludes topic 7-4, changing to y equals mx plus b form, day 1.